What's up, YouTube fam? Got another video for you guys. This time I'm going to be talking about my history in still photography. Kind of what led me into becoming a DOP was stills, and I've gone through a lot of different cameras, a lot of different mediums, and I just kind of wanted to take you on that journey. Growing up, my parents always wanted all of their kids to play some sort of instrument. They really encouraged that. I got piano lessons when I was a kid, and then when I got a little bit older, I could choose a different instrument, and I just went through all these instruments. Nothing ever really stuck with me. I landed on bass, stayed with that for a little bit, but when I was 15, I ended up selling that bass guitar and the amp in order to buy my first camera. That camera was a Nikon D80. Cost me about $1,000 at the time, took a long time to save up for it, working in the back of a barbecue restaurant. I started what I call developing my eye. It's just going out with friends, taking pictures, seeing what you like, what you don't like, learning different techniques, like trying out the rule of thirds, when it works, when it doesn't, all of that. My friends all skateboarded and did motocross and BMX and a lot of extreme sports, so that's mainly what I was capturing at that time. Then in 2010, I went to a school in photography in a small town in Germany, and my dad gave me a Pentax K1000, my first film camera. And I was learning black and white printing and developing and working in the darkroom, and I loved that. I fell in love with film photography for the process, the fact that you're not just taking pictures and looking down at a screen, you're really in the moment, and you know that every photo counts. So you have to really make sure your focus is good, your composition is right, because you're not gonna be able to review that photo till it's too late. From that school in Germany, I ended up going on to a lot of different countries. I went to India and Bangladesh, and then I ended up in China. Well, somewhere in there, right before I moved from Germany to China, I ended up investing in a Nikon D600, and that camera had 1080p video, and that's kind of how I got into making my first film. You can check out the other video I did on my progression as a cinematographer. Between the Nikon D600 and the Pentax K1000, I was making a lot of work, and at that time I was really doing a lot with both of them. I was kind of teetering between film and digital. Well, around 2017, I decided I'm doing a lot of video work for professional work, and then my photography was kind of just more passion now. So I'm like, I might as well shoot the way I want to, which was film at the time. So I sold all my digital camera gear, and I invested fully into film. And I went from the Pentax K1000 to the Pentax 6.7, and then I ended up finding like a Bessa R3A for my 35mm. I ended up getting an Intrepid 4x5, but really that Pentax 6.7 and the Pentax K1000 have stayed with me, and I've loved them. And what I love about film is the process, the fact that you're fully in the moment, the focus you have when you're composing and shooting, the darkroom work also, sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. The grain, the look of film, I love that. But the fact that you don't have batteries, you don't have cards. Usually I print photos if I shoot them on film. I rarely do that with my digital work, so then it just sits on Instagram or sits on a hard drive. With film costing more and more, and the time it takes to either send it off to a lab or develop it yourself, I just found myself shooting a lot less. And also, when I was overseas, I was over there for 2 months at a time, so I wanted to share what's going on, not like 2 months later when the film gets developed. So all those reasons led me to wanting a small digital camera. And I had tried a Fujifilm X100 series camera, and I love that, but I didn't like being stuck to one lens, and so the Leica M system seemed perfect for me. I bought a Leica M10, and I bought it with a 35mm Summicron Aspherical and a 50mm Summicron. It was a huge purchase, and here's why I went with that camera. Between the Leica M bodies, there's a lot of differences. I went through all the list of M cameras. So digital wise, it went from the M8 through the M11 with a lot of variations, like an M10P, M10R. They slimmed down the bodies over the years from like the 8, 9, and 10. The batteries changed, the rangefinder, viewfinder changed, got bigger, and all around they were making improvements. But after the M10, I felt like they focus on megapixels, and there's like the P versions of all those kind of removes the Leica symbol from the front, which I actually enjoy that. So those ones were out for me. So I narrowed down my search between the Leica M240 and the Leica M10. I didn't need a lot of megapixels, so 24 was fine with me. And I've also done a little bit of research and found that the more megapixels you have, basically the higher your shutter speed needs to be when you are shooting handheld, because you'll see any little shake a lot easier. So 24 megapixels was good for me. So I landed between the M240 or the M10. Now the M240, same megapixels. I think it's a different sensor. It's the older sensor. The M10 has a larger viewfinder. The ISO dial was also added to the top of the M10, which I really liked. It's more like a film camera. You can switch ISO with that tactile dial. The other thing is it got a slimmer body on the M10. The M240 had video capabilities. I didn't really need that, so the M10 is good on that. And then finally, the M10 added in Wi-Fi capability. So I wanted to be able to send the photos straight from the camera to my phone so I can upload it and post while I'm traveling. So those were all the reasons why I landed on the M10. I've had the M10 now for around 5 months, and I've really enjoyed shooting with it. It's small, that I bring it everywhere. I've probably shot more photos in the last 5 months than in the last like 2-3 years shooting on film. With editing, you can give it a film look if you want, or you can leave it like a beautiful digital Leica photo. And when you hold it in your hands, it like inspires you somehow. I mean, people talk about Leica as it's just like a bunch of fanfare, and it really isn't. It's about build quality. The fact that it's so small, I can just throw it around my shoulder, all the lenses are small, it makes me want to take it with me. Like it's a beautiful object, but it also creates amazing images, and it doesn't hinder me from being too heavy or the size of it being too big. The batteries last a long time. I just enjoy shooting on it. I wanted to share that with you. If you like this video, if you're a photographer, let me know down in the comments. Subscribe, share this video with other photographers you know that are thinking about getting a Leica, and keep on shooting.